quorum. We have a quorum. As chair, I'd like to call this August 19th. How is that possible? Meeting to order. We have one of the two new members with us, so I think we should go ahead and everybody introduce themselves so that we can give Claudia a proper welcome. And thank you for being aboard. I'll go ahead and start. I'm Jeanette Shelton. I'm the chair of the committee, and I represent Tara Lawson-Remer in District 3.
I'm Sue Madison, and I am the vice chair, and I represent Joel Anderson's District 2.
Welcome, Claudia. Laura Hansel here. I'm in seat 5 representing District 3 and Tara Lawson-Remer as well. Glad to have
Hi, Claudia. My name's Brennan. I am out of District 2 and happy to have you here.
Jessica or Aisha?
Hi, Jessica Kramer, District 5. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi, Jessica.
Aisha Majid, at-large member. Welcome. Thank you.
Yay.
Claudia, would
Aisha's
you?
been at one meeting. Has it been one meeting, Aisha, or two?
Officially, I believe one meeting.
Yeah.
I think so.
It's wonderful to see you again and have you. And yay, Claudia. We're so happy.
Claudia, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Of course. Thank you, everyone, for the warm welcome. My name is Claudia Azucena Lopez de Nava. I go by my Azucena by my second name, but it's okay. You forget. No worries. Yes. Professionally, I work for the Behavioral Health Services here still in the county of San Diego. By my personal, I just started a nonprofit for children affected by muscular dystrophy. I have a living experience as I used to have a son. He passed when he was 17. And in his honor, I want to start doing this awareness and outreach educations about people with disabilities here in San Diego. Thank you so much. And I'm representing District 1.
Terrific. Thank you. Welcome. It's lovely to have you. All right. Do we have any statement of just cause or consideration of a request to participate remotely due to emergency circumstances?
There are none.
Okay. Thank you. So hopefully everybody's had a chance to look at the July minutes. So if we could have a motion.
I move to accept the July minutes.
one moment, if I may. Laura Hansel here. On page 2, just a small thing, but the last bullet point under the Live Well Advanced Conference 2026 just needs a period. It's referencing Sue and the Jan network, or Jan. That's the only thing I saw. And I could make a motion to approve the minutes with that one edit of adding a period.
And then I'll second that.
All those in favor, we need to do it individually since we're online. So I'm just going to go through the list. Laura?
Yes. Yay.
Sue?
Yep.
Oh my gosh, they just moved around. Aisha?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yes.
We'll have Claudia abstain. Jessica?
Yes.
Did I miss anybody? Okay.
Lou's just joined, Jeanette.
Oh, okay. Hi, Luz. Welcome to the committee. And I can't see everybody.
I don't see her.
Hello, everybody. My name is Luz. I'm excited to be here and learn a little bit more about this committee from all of you. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Welcome, Luz.
Thank you.
And I see we have a Vivian Nguyen.
Yes. Yeah, hi, that's me. This is my first time attending one of the committee meetings as a guest. So I'm just excited to learn more about the committee and what goes on. Yeah, I previously worked with some of the clubhouses that serve folks 18 and up with mental health um, issues and struggles. So just wanted to learn more about the committee and see where I could get involved.
Excellent. Thank you so much. All right. Non-agenda comment. Members of the public may address a county issue not elsewhere on this agenda. Each speaker may take up to 2 minutes. Speakers may be limited to less time if several speakers have requested to speak on the same issue. Please note this meeting is recorded and publicly available. Therefore, we recommend not sharing personal information. The Committee for Persons with Disabilities is prohibited by the Brown Act from acting on or voting on any issue that is not already on the agenda unless deemed to be urgent. Do we have any non-agenda comments? I have one.
There's a hand up.
Oh, sorry. I really can't. With the screen sharing, I really can't see.
You go first,
Oh,
Jeanette.
Jessica.
Okay. You go first.
I just wanted to say that I just this last hour listened to a webinar, watched a webinar on the 211 service. And it was mostly for the providers who whose agencies are listed within 211 and how to have their agencies listed with the proper information so that they can be useful to people trying to use the service. They said they have 1,300 organizations and 5,000 services listed, which I didn't realize it was that big. The other note that I would say was that they now included in the 211 website and service is what they're calling a work ready hub, which is job training, job readiness, job opportunities for people who are negatively impacted by or impacted, I should say, by the new CalFresh, the regulations that are changing requirements for CalFresh and Medi-Cal. So she showed it on the screen. It looked pretty nice. And they also have a community calendar for all of their events. So, okay, Jessica.
Yeah.
That was a great update. Thank you. I missed a couple meetings because I was recruited by the California Police Officer Standard and Training Commission to produce some law enforcement videos. The last one that I was doing was the elder and disabled adult abuse training video for California law enforcement. So this was actually the last filming, and I was very sad because they create the most incredible working environment for collaboration where they really encourage you to speak up about gaps and must-haves from each different subject area expertise. So we had law enforcement, dispatch, detectives and family protection, DA investigator, APS supervisor, ombudsman supervisor, the leading experts in elder abuse who wrote the Eagle models, and a forensic doctor for elder abuse. She was absolutely revolutionary, amazing, and very understanding of the complexities of how people with disabilities 18 to 64 face like a different level of discrimination that isn't that well recognized. And so we were able to do a scenario that ended up being produced and filmed, in which it was a woman with a chronic illness with an otherwise unidentifiable invisible disability that gave her a unique set of vulnerabilities, in which a predator was able to capitalize and take advantage of, but all very, very subtle relative to what law enforcement is used to seeing. And one of the things I was the most excited about was that the California state legislature really wrote some specific mandates to how this training, what content this training would have, and what key points would be hit on for law enforcement. And in both videos, I did a hate crime video as a disability subject matter expert, and then this last one, elder independent adult abuse. But both times there was a mandate by the legislature to address people with disabilities who are unhoused, and best practices for law enforcement to begin to see them as qualifying for the disability special protections that we afford typically to developmental and intellectual disabilities, or just more visibly identifiable. And so chronic illness wasn't something that had been shown as a training model yet. And I was able to do a number of things with also highlighting the vulnerabilities for unhoused individuals. So it was a real true honor. I gave it my absolute best. And, I'm hopeful that that will make some big changes. And thank you for giving me the space to do that.
Excellent.
Thank you, Jessica, for that update. That's you're getting applause from Brennan. All right. Our next item on the agenda is Office of Emergency Services with Nick.
Good afternoon. Just trying to navigate tech here. Apologies there. All right. So it's good to see everyone. Just wanted to give you kind of an update on the hazard mitigation plan. It's the region's plan for how we reduce the impacts from disasters, right? We look at disasters and hazards over the last 5 years. The plan is updated every 5 years. We revisit the ranking of those hazards, high, medium, and low. And then we do a vulnerability assessment to look at what are the impacts from those hazards. And then we identify projects, right, to help mitigate those threats and risks. So we're going through that 5-year update now, and we welcome the committee to be a part of the public comment period that is coming up in October. Just wanted to give you a little bit more of a heads up, 2 months window. There'll be a public meeting where we'll talk about where the plan is currently, and then we will put the plan on our Engage San Diego County website, which I will put in the chat. That's where the plan will be hosted. Of course, we can offer other opportunities to engage this committee during that time frame to facilitate your feedback. So just a quick update. I see there's a hand raised already. That's all I have, but open to questions.
Jessica, your hand is raised. Did you? Nope. Okay.
Okay. And I placed the Engage San Diego website in the chat.
And Nick, I wanted to, because I know that we've got the accessibility working group that OES has. That's the right name. Is that the Access and Functional Needs working group, right?
Yep.
Any updates there, or are there still opportunities for committee members to be involved in the Access and Functional Needs Working Group?
Absolutely. I'm not a part of that group at this time, but anyone that is interested, I can ensure that you receive the invitation and, future meetings that come up. I can work with you, Todd, on that.
That sounds great, because in the event that each of our committee members have different passions, personal interests. And so for those that may be interested in emergency operations as it relates to people with disabilities under the emergency planning framework, people with disabilities is included in the access and functional needs group, which also includes youth as other individuals that might be represented in what can be called vulnerable populations. But definitely, if there are members or if you have individuals that are in the public that have a passion for emergency operations and emergency planning, that the access and functional needs working group is an opportunity to get involved and to provide input to the Office of Emergency Services. And this is broadly not just the county, but it's represented by representatives from other jurisdictions as well.
That sounds great. Yeah, I happy to work with you on that. And also, I'll send out when we have our comment period on the mitigation plan. I'll work with you, Todd, to amplify it.
Very good. Thank you, Claudia. We'll be able to share more information on that. Other questions for the Office of Emergency Services? I know that we've had a few presentations from OES and around the Emergency Operations Plan. This is with regard to the Hazard Mitigation Plan and as well the different annexes that are part of the Emergency Operations Plan that pertain to whether it's sheltering or to evacuation, to transportation, et cetera.
And the emergency operations plan is scheduled to go to the board for the update for adoption in September 15th. There will be an opportunity, though, after adoption, if there's additional comments and feedback on the plan. That plan is it's a living and breathing document, right? So we don't just close it after 4 years. So we will welcome additional feedback after adoption as well.
Very good.
Laura, here, I put a link to the Access and Functional Needs Working Group
Oh,
engage
thank you.
page in the chat.
And Todd, if you want, I mean, I could go into a little bit more detail on the mitigation planning process if you'd like, or if we're kind of on time, either way.
I defer, Jeanette.
I think that's fine. I think we're moving along okay.
Okay.
So
I,
yeah, you'll provide a little
oh,
background on the
okay.
project.
I do have some slides. Is that okay if I share those on the screen?
Yes. Can you do you have access to share?
I think I do, yeah.
We have three new members, Nick, so that's why it's important.
Does that show up on your end?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So I touched on that this plan is a 5-year update. We're assessing our previous hazards, looking at previous impacts, vulnerabilities, and then looking at potential projects to mitigate those threats. And you can see here that the planning team is rather large. We have our 18 cities, they each have their own annex. We have the county, they have their own plan. Several special districts that have their own annex to the plan. And then, as I mentioned, we have a public involvement period coming up in October, so we'll get you that specific date when that opens up. So phase two initially, as I mentioned, is to review our hazards from over the last 5 years. We re-rank those as needed, high, medium, low, and that's a team effort. We base that off of what has occurred over the last 5 years as far as disasters within the region. And that is, of course, localized. So each city has their own annex. So they're going to look at hazards specific, disasters specific to their area. And then, as
Um,
mentioned, oh, go ahead.
Actually,
Yep.
one thing, Nick, with this latest announcement of um, the shoot, I'm blanking on the name of the storm that
El
we're
Nino.
expecting. El Nino, yes. They is that being factored in? I would assume that that's being factored into when we talk
I was
about the
just going to
hazard.
ask that.
Yeah. So one of the hazards, as you can imagine, is flood. We also have a hazard for severe weather. Those are both profiled in our plan. So those address, the location, potential impacts, vulnerabilities, and then projects to help mitigate those risks.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, good question.
I saw
Um,
today that they're clearing out 20 miles of storm drains.
in the city of
With the,
San Diego,
yeah.
yes, yeah, they're doing a lot of work to get ready for potential El Nino and the potential impacts. So the mitigation strategy phase. So now once we've kind of revisited the rankings of our hazards, um, wildfire, of course, being very high, as you can imagine, and then looking at potential vulnerabilities to commercial, residential, critical infrastructure, critical facilities. We look at what are the types of projects that we want to mitigate. And this is an update to this plan. So this go around. We also are providing a status update on previous projects identified in the 2023 plan, but it's an opportunity to identify new projects to mitigate the risk. Those can be anything from like community engagement projects, planning projects, uh, shovel-ready projects, and as part of this update, we also do annual updates, and that those annual updates really are annual progress reports. So each of the jurisdictions will report out on the status of those projects. That's what you see here on the far right. Have your priorities changed? Any staffing, any funding or grants? What's your time frame for implementing those projects? And in order to be eligible for FEMA grant hazard mitigation funding, you must have a FEMA approved hazard mitigation plan. So that's another sort of uh, benefit of having these plans in place.
Are we still getting federal funds for emergency operations?
We are, there are a couple of different grants out there, the Emergency Management Performance Grant, the Statewide Homeland Security Grant. Those actually are grants that fund a lot of regional projects, but also staffing. Part of my staff time is funded through a FEMA grant.
Great.
On hazard mitigation side, uh, coincidentally, this plan update, we actually hired a contractor through FEMA's hazard mitigation grant. So I'm still serving as like the lead to sort of coordinate it, but we have a contractor that's doing a lot of the work. So that's really helping us ensure we have the subject matter expertise, right, to help
Right.
develop this plan.
Good.
Uh, but there's other grants that come out, flood mitigation, building resilience, and infrastructure grant came out earlier this year. So they're coming out not as frequently. They used to come out, I would say annually. Right now, it's kind of dependent on um, the funding that comes out. In the past, it would be a trigger for hazard mitigation grant funding would be a disaster declaration. So if California was under a disaster declaration, then that would open up funding to all jurisdictions within California for hazard mitigation grants. So that hasn't happened this year yet,
Hmm.
but we are crossing our fingers, not for a disaster, but for funding opportunities.
Yeah, we know
Thank
why.
you.
In step four, as part of our planning process, we go through an adoption and implementation phase. So we do an internal review of the plan with our jurisdictions. The public review, as I mentioned, will be where we would love to have the committee involved in reviewing the plan in October. And then it'll go to the state and FEMA for their feedback before it'll go for formal adoption to our Board of Supervisors as well as to each of the city councils for their specific annexes. And this is a look at our current project schedule. It's been kind of fast-tracked because we're under a grant timeline. So we moved through our risk assessment phases in the early part of this year and identification of our hazards. We identified new mitigation projects, reviewed previous mitigation actions, provided updates on those in April, May timeframe. And now we're in the drafting phase. So the jurisdictions are reviewing their individual annexes and providing comments, and then the draft will go out to the public for feedback. We'll host a public meeting in October. And then you'll see here in November all the way to April will be the plan approval adoption process from FEMA's review, the state's review to the board and city councils. So next steps, again, stay tuned for more information on when you can comment directly on the plan itself and our public meeting in October. And I included here a QR code to our Engage San Diego project website. I was quick, high level. I hope it wasn't too fast. There's a lot to this plan, so happy to answer questions along the way.
Nick, I know that you all have been involved with regularly, of course, involved with Cal OES, with the California Office of Emergency Services. Wanted to say kudos to you all for your review from Vance Taylor. The you want to speak a little bit about the review that California Office of Emergency Services did with the plan, with the emergency plan?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, Todd, you were part of that. So we invited the California Governor's Office of Access and Functional Needs to review our plan from an access and functional needs perspective. And they provided some feedback on how we can improve the plan. I think one component that came out of it was continued engagement with access and functional needs individuals and advocacy organizations such as this committee, really providing more opportunities not to just provide presentations, but more workshops, more engagement to really discuss the different plan components and how we can workshop together to make it more accessible. So that was a very, I think, valuable feedback for us. But we, as part of this four-year update of the Emergency Operations Plan, always work with our state partners to ensure that they have an opportunity to review the plan.
Any questions?
I do know that this committee has, as one of its four focus areas, is the emergency operations, accessibility, and public safety. So this is a key opportunity. So Nick, it's always great for you to stay plugged in, and definitely anytime you have some updates, certainly reach out, and we'll make time and make space for you.
I appreciate it. Thank you for including me.
Thanks, Nick. All right. Oh, why are we barking? Next on our agenda is supplemental staff committee support, and Rachel.
Good afternoon,
So
everybody.
I'll introduce Rachel Eichler. She's my boss, and so be nice to me, folks. But no, Rachel. Actually, I was talking to Rachel about some of the concerns that have come up with regard to the response in the sunset review around staff support. And so Rachel said, well, I'd be glad to come and speak to the committee about some of the things that are going on in the background, some of the efforts that Rachel and Brandon are working on and proposing. So without much more delay, I'll introduce you to Rachel Eichler, as I mentioned, Deputy Director of the Office of Ethics, Compliance, and Labor Standards.
Oh, thank you, Todd. And nice to meet everybody today. I've heard a lot of great things about this subcommittee, and I'm happy to be on this call. One of the things that Todd and I talked about earlier this month was the proposal of potentially having an intern, even a student intern. And I was talking with Todd about this because I love the idea of having interns. Our office has, we've had high school interns, we've had J program interns, which are neurodivergent interns who have helped out in our office. As well as legal externs who are finishing their last quarter at Cal Western before they graduate and go on to take the bar and become actual attorneys. Even though I think this would be a great opportunity for the subcommittee committee to have more provided support, I don't think sustainability, this is a great idea, just because I think you guys would need more support long term rather than just having a quick turnover because these individuals are only on staff for like for example the high school students, they're only summer interns or they're spring semester interns who are only on staff supporting for probably a month or 2 months at most, and then the externs are only in semester wise, so their turnovers are 3 months to 4 months. The J programs, ex interns might be sustainability longer term because they could go up to 6 months or a year. And they're amazing individuals who I love working with and would continue if I could have them on my staff full time. I would love to hire them full time. But again, I don't know if having interns or students or anybody like that would be the best use of your time, especially because the amount of time that we would have to train and go into that would be um, a lot of effort on our behalf for you. So, with that, I also propose to Todd, we are entering into our fiscal 5-year forecast. So, what does that mean is that we are doing policy review right now to look at what can we do to support. Todd and I have talked about this plenty of times before, is that we continuously propose to the board and to our chief administrative officer an ADA coordinator. So the possibility that we could get a full-time staff person dedicated to the subcommittee, and what does that look like? We just reviewed with Todd today what other counties have. I believe, Todd, you shared that Bakersfield has 9 FTEs, full-time employees dedicated on staff, or is that LA County?
LA County, LA
LA
County has,
County
yes.
has 9 full-time ADA coordinators on staff, and then I think Bakerfield has 1.
Has
So
one, right.
has 1. So Brandon and I are going to turn around and share that data back with Ebony, our Chief Administrative Officer, because we have requested an ADA coordinator every year, and because of funding, we have not been allowed to move forward with that. So this year we will propose it again, and have the room and capacity to be able to hopefully bring that to fruition. So I am in the process of writing out our fiscal year forecast, and we'll write the justification and need to show support for this subcommittee as to why that is something that is strongly needed for support for here. So, is there any questions so far regarding that?
Hey, Rachel, Laura here. I have a question about the onboarding process. If there were to be interns, what that looks like for the county, what that entails.
Yeah, so it's very simple. So typically you'll send a resume, we'll review it. If it's a extern where they have legal backgrounds, we go through a simple process. High school students and Jay's program interns, very simple. We'll do background checks, medical checks, and make sure that they have the clearances they need. It's about a month to 2 month onboarding process to get through the medical and background checks. And then it's just simple to be able to come in. They are unpaid positions, just for awareness, just for coming into the office. And then we'll write out a pathway plan of what expectations would be and how they can help support the committee as well as Todd and our office too.
So yeah, would their supervisor be Todd, hypothetically, or could it
Yeah.
be somebody else? Okay.
Todd, myself, and Brandon. So they would probably report directly on paper to Brandon, and
Mhm.
then Todd would oversee their daily activity work.
Yeah, the idea there would not be that they would offer long-term, sustainable help, but that they would help in very short-term research projects. It could be very specific. It could be something they're interested in. but I don't want to let go of this idea. It might not be a good fit now, but there's many reasons to move forward with that. First of all, this committee needs so much help
Right.
that in addition to the ADA coordination, we need help with just research. And it's
Yeah.
perfect for a law student or possibly a college student, probably not a high schooler, but it depends on the project. But also that this is really important for advocacy and to show that there's work in these areas. And it raises the profile not only of this committee, which is a full committee, but also of the kind of work that's available at the county, leading to a direct pipeline from talent to the county as well. So I just want to highlight those additional benefits.
No, that's awesome. And that'll be great for me when I'm writing my justification in the next week or two, that I can add that scope in there. We do have our fall semester Cal Western students coming through for review. So there is that. We will potentially be getting a fall winter extern, which will be able to give focus and shift a little bit perspective into helping Todd support on the ADA as well as everyone here a little bit more research on what it is that you need. What type of research are you looking into for support?
So there's actually no shortage. I'd love to hear from other committee members, Laura again, but for instance, even on hazard mitigation, you just heard that mentioned, that there's specific things that come up that we need more stats on. Maybe we want to compare ourselves to another county, possibly to other stats, but there's no shortage of research things that come up. We're going to talk about housing next. There's so much. I'm sure Brennan has a long list of things he could use help with just on the one report he did, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So again,
Okay.
this would not be like helping with our ADA accommodations or anything like that. This would be helping with law and policy research that we need to be able to make informed decisions, because we're finding that these issues we want to delve into are very, very complicated. So we do need additional assistance to research this one important thing that we can't move forward on maybe until we know more, but maybe none of us have the bandwidth because we're possibly doing other work for the committee.
That's really, really good to know. Todd, will you make note for me to circle back with Brandon and see if there's a possibility that we can get 2 externs from Cal Western?
And
Okay, sure.
they would earn credit, is my understanding, which is incredibly valuable. I will tell you, as a former law student, law grad myself, we actually don't learn that much in the classes. You learn the actual law in law and policy in action and being like, I love this. I never thought I wanted to be a disability advocate, but this internship made me want to go into that area as a specialization. So, and there's actually just a lot more opportunity with a law degree to have jobs that are outside the classical practice of law, and we need more people like that working at county level for sure.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity. We're the only one in the county that has this direct access with Cal Western, where they instead of going and finishing out their last semester credit in a classroom, they have the capability to come in and learn what it's like to work in the public sector and get that hands-on experience. So this is a great opportunity for them, and I would love to see if Cal Western, because we get a long list of individuals who are interested coming to work with our office. So I'd be interested to see if we could potentially get 2. So one's dedicated fully to working with the subcommittee and doing that research that you need, because the other extern is typically doing policy research for labor standards on that side, as well as the ethics piece. So I'm going to talk with Brandon and see what we can definitely do for support there.
That's awesome. Really appreciate you being open to that. It's a really
Yeah.
cool opportunity for everyone, honestly. 3 sides, committee, the county, and the student, and the school. Because they get
Yeah,
to
as
say that
well
they
as
have interns with us, and it helps them too.
yeah, and I won't stop the fight to also get the FTE for you as well. So it'll just be an added layer into that benefit of being able to get an extern for you, as well as the externs is continuous. So we have the fall winter externs, we have the spring and summer externs. So it is a continuous rotation. So there's never a break between. There's like a small little summer break, like 2 months of little leeway, but other than that, and I get it, everybody wants to have like a summer break in time, but that's because the bar happens every July and February, so there is a little slight area of delay. But so yeah, I will make sure that there's a continuation for us to be able to have that for you guys, on top of potentially getting a full-time dedicated ADA coordinator with Todd. So
I see
Very
Luz,
Luz
Luz has
has
her
her
hand
hands
up.
up.
Yes, thank you. This is Luz. I'm situated in Spring Valley area and new to this committee, Rachel. So thank you, Todd and Rachel, for that. I'm curious because I'm new. This is my first meeting. If you can just provide a little insight as to the current team structure and what you typically utilize. You already mentioned what you utilize the interns for, but what is the current structure and where are the most needs for from your perspective?
Yeah, so our office is called the Office of Ethics Compliance and Labor Standards. We are technically two departments in one. So we have the Office of Ethics Compliance on one side, and that is the internal facing to the county. In that is where you find anything where the employees of the county who work for the county and departments can file alleged investigations anywhere from sexual misconduct, employee misconduct, fraud, waste, and abuse in what is it, Title 2 and Title 6, Todd?
Yes.
With the county, and we will look into those allegations and find recommended findings to the appointing authority. So those would be your directors, your assistant directors, whoever, and so on and so forth. We also, on rare occurrences, will look into allegations with our elected officials and our higher managing executives. Those are far and few between, but we do also look into those allegations as they come through, potentially from the public as well. The Office of Labor Standards Enforcement, our second department in there, is external facing to the county. It is new as of 2021 because during 2020, our lovely pandemic era, moratoriums were put in place, and constituents in the unincorporated area had no one to turn to when there was these moratoriums put in place and they were being forced to work outside of the moratoriums. They didn't have the proper protection. They were being forced to work outside of the regulated hours, and not getting the wages owed. There was wage theft occurring, and there was just bad faith employers. So the Office of Labor Standards Enforcement is technically a resource hub for both workers as well as businesses. So there is about 9 enforcement programs within there. So we help protect on the worker side as well as the business side. In terms of structure under the OECLS, you have Brandon, who is our director. He is a attorney as well. And then you have myself under him. And then we have our administrative secretary, and then 3 chiefs on the OEC side. So Todd, Mia, and Hassani. And then you have, I think, 5 investigators under that, plus an admin analyst. On the OLSE side, you have 3 group program managers, all dedicated to a certain pillar. You have a data analytics and investigation side, you have the enforcement side, and then an education side. And then a few investigators under that, and that is technically OECLS. So hopefully that answered.
Thank you, Rachel. And I'm assuming the ADA coordinator would fit under the external facing side of the department. Is that correct?
Yes, it would be unique. So it would go under the branch of everything. So they would technically be under Todd, because it would be internal to help support the subcommittee, but they would help under the external side as well. So,
Thank you for that clarity. Helps a
of
lot.
course.
So Rachel, I have just a comment as well. I was the former ADA coordinator for the city of San Diego. It had different titles. I was the Disabilities Services Coordinator when I started. We did not provide services. People were confused. They were coming to us for services and supports. So, um, and obviously the ADA is for employees and for public, from the county's perspective. And I was under the Office of Ethics and Integrity at the beginning at the city of San Diego. And then that department, which was very small, was dissolved. We moved around a lot. And so I think it's good that you're under the ethics and compliance. I mean, it's a big lump, Rachel. Obviously, I don't need to tell you. So I guess my question on hiring, because I thought Todd was the ADA point person, and now to have an ADA coordinator, I'm thinking, how will that be? And will people be confused? And um,
I can kind of speak to that, Sue.
mhm,
So I'm the current ADA coordinator as well as the chief privacy officer.
all right.
So once we have a dedicated ADA Title II coordinator, that individual would take those responsibilities. The accessibility responsibilities that I have, they would be dedicated to that. And then, as Rachel mentioned, that would still roll up under my in my area.
So you would be supervising them.
Yes.
Yes, is that's a model that that
Yeah,
we would view that.
okay. About how much time do you spend on other stuff versus ADA, Todd? Just a wild percentage, 60-40, 30-30-30,
I
10.
spend a significant amount of time on accessibility,
I would
so
imagine.
this would give me the opportunity to focus some more on some of the other roles that I have.
Yeah. And the other thing, Rachel, just to note, I'll summarize, but the city of San Diego used to have about 5 FTEs. And it was they made their own department because they didn't want to be invested in any department because ADA is over everything and everybody. You didn't want, the perception of, when I was there, my recommendation was to keep it separate and so it's clean. When you want to talk to departments about possible lack of ADA, then you're one of the county staff or the city staff, and there's a rub. And now I think there's just 2 people, and they moved them into engineering for physical access
Oh,
stuff,
okay.
which I would not have recommended, but I'm not there and they get to do whatever they want. But my sense is be very mindful on this because the county is very big. And I think justifying one additional is nothing compared to what other places are doing.
Mhm.
I think we're noticing that across the statistics and analytics that are being sent to us and what we're doing on our research side of looking into what the other counties, and again, San Diego is the 5th largest in the nation. So it just makes sense when you see like LA County, who has 9 dedicated FTEs, and
Yes,
comparative to us, and we have 0. So
yes. And the city of San Francisco, I don't know what they have now, but they had a whole mayor's office on disability.
yeah.
And they had several people as well.
I
And
do know that we have a lot of support from our board. With our office alone, they are very solely about whatever it is that we need to help, as well as the CAO. Brandon has direct conversations weekly with the ACAO as well as the CAO. And it's at a point for us where we can make these um, conversations lively with them and see what it is that we can get support from. And so we'll definitely try our best to engage them in this and make it fruitful so that we can come back and have a good report back to you all here on the call of where we are within the coming months.
good luck
But
and
for the benefit of those new members, I will share that it's not just Todd Hood here for accessibility. We do have individuals. We have CASP certified individuals that are in our facilities, and that's certified access specialists uh, that are responsible for the physical accessibility. We have that in our facilities. In each of our departments, I have a departmental ADA coordinator who part of their role is accessibility, whether it's on an employee side as well as external for clients and customers of business of departments. And then I also have an executive accessibility working group that anything that we need internally, or if there are activities or requirements or requests, that I can go to those, the working group, or to my departmental coordinators. So although we don't have a dedicated resources, we do have resources involved in various departments. Yes, Jeanette, I saw.
I just out of curiosity, since it was my area, how is Title I handled?
So that's handled through, thank you for that question. Great question. That's handled through our human resources area.
Okay.
So then human resources handles any of the employee accessibility requirements. Now, to Rachel's point, she referred to it earlier, there may be complaints from employees that deal with accessibility, or that they may have allegations of discrimination based on a disability, or they may have questions or concerns about they made requests for accommodations and how those requests were handled, or if those requests were handled. Those may come to the Office of Ethics and Compliance, and then our investigators, through our chiefs, would then make a determination as to whether there was grounds or warranted or if it was within our authority, within the county authority, that or to the Office of Ethics and Compliance, if it dealt with discrimination or harassment related to disability, then there'd be they'd make a determination to conduct an investigation and then go through that process. Similarly to sexual harassment or racial discrimination, those types of that would be with the Title I.
Got it. Thank you.
Great questions, great interaction and engagement as usual. This committee is up on the topics, and so Rachel, I want to thank you for coming in and providing that background. We'll continue to work together to see what resources we can bring forward.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Rachel.
Jeanette, is this a time where we can just touch base too on that sunset clause? Because I want to get that done. I think it falls under this topic, and I haven't heard from anyone else on input, but I hope to have something drafted by September 1st. So then, Todd, we can get it out to everybody for the September meeting, and it's due October.
Okay.
That works. Thank you, Laura.
Yeah, thank you.
So if anybody has feedback, and I can follow up with Todd, maybe get it to me by August 30th. And that's like maybe an easy date to remember, just the end of August. And I can incorporate anything.
Laura, do you want to, for the benefit of the
new
new
people.
members,
Yeah, I was just going to say,
background?
actually, yeah, I was just going to say to you all that you might not have feedback on this. We had a really good conversation in the last meeting. You might want to review what that conversation was. But as we justify the committee and it keeping going, one of the questions was about staff support. So that led to this conversation today. It's a really exciting conversation with Rachel. And it's just, I think for all of us, it probably feels really good to hear there's some ideas in the works and there's maybe some relief, because it goes way beyond this committee, you know?
Yes.
But we were talking about how committees like this require so much support under just like the easiest circumstances. And I've been legislative staff and I've been that person that it's crucial. This committee would not exist without staff. We wouldn't get anything done. But there's so many demands. And then when you put on top of that additional ADA accommodations and the sensitive nature of the topics we cover and these needs for making sure our statistics are up to date and this is the latest number on this, or that our language is proper and it's people first. All those things require time, and it's been falling to our staff, who's amazing, but we are like this much of probably what their job duties are supposed to be. So we have needed so much more. So we've been trying to make that justification of we have special needs on this committee on top of what the workload is we already have, that we need some additional support. So that leads to conversations about possible interns or having additional committee staffers that can support the work of not just the committee, this one, but others.
And then,
So,
Laura, do you want
yeah.
to speak to the request that you'd like people to provide to you?
Yes. And so what we were asking, and this will be harder for the new people, is if you have ideas of where we needed more support, specific examples that might come to mind, that can be helpful to justify. I'm going to work up with Todd on this. I know he's got a lot of the numbers, as does the rest of the staff, about what percentage of time is spent on things. But what I will be doing is going back and reviewing the conversation we had last meeting, where a lot of these things did come up. And already some things came up today that I was thinking we could add in as well. But if there's anything, it'd be great if people get it to me by August 30th. I don't believe I've heard from anyone, probably because we have talked about this a lot too. But if you have anything, I'd love to hear from everyone to make sure we're incorporating your feedback and points as well, as best we can.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right, next item, the annual report update. Aisha, Paul, and I met on Zoom last week, right? Last week, and we've divvied up the months. We have a template that we've been working with. So for the new folks, every year we do an annual report that covers meetings and activities, accomplishments, etc., from July to June. Last year it was done in, I think, March. So we're going to move that up this year. Our goal is to have the committee review it in September, at least the first stab of it. So we have another meeting scheduled. So we're going to do a lot of cutting and pasting and editing from the minutes. So it's in the works.
Thank you.
Moving on. Strategic focus area, housing accessibility. Brennan, do you want to update us on anything that's happened since
Yes.
our last
Hi.
discussion?
Yes. Hi, everybody. Good to see you all. I think I missed one or two meetings. I didn't get a chance. I wasn't able to get a hold of Michelle to review, but I spoke with Todd a couple times, and I think we have, and Todd just posted in the chat, if you could take a look. So we've kind of done twofold. The first one is regarding the affordable and accessible housing language, which I think is really beneficial for bringing awareness just countywide. And you could take a look at that. And then, Todd, were you going to post the second one? And then there's the second one as well. So tried to make it as broad as possible to help as many different types of disabilities as possible while making it narrow enough and narrow enough so that it's measurable and so that it there's something of substance there that the county or what something that we can actually take action on. So would you like me, Chair, to just read these, or how would you like me to
Are they
proceed?
in writing somewhere? I'm not seeing the chat, and the chat's hard for me to
I can read them, Sue. You like
Yeah,
me to read?
that'd be great.
Okay, so the first one is affordable and accessible housing. So the SMART goal um, is by the end of the next committee year, work with the county to ensure that housing-related communications, policies, and materials consistently address affordable and accessible housing, increasing recognition of accessibility as a core housing need for people with disabilities. So
Good.
that's the first one.
And we're doing, these are goals under our housing goal. Um, and they're to identify what what are we gonna do with this?
So I think another way of looking at it is the first one is more, uh, it's more about changing the wording to help bring awareness. It's more
Right.
about just kind of awareness building, whereas the second one is more about actual action. So that one is going to hopefully lead more to some of what we were talking about in terms of trying to implement into new developments simple things, rocker switches, you know, maybe soundproof walls, maybe certain types of fire alarms that have, lights so that, people that might be hard of hearing are able to be notified. So, would you like me to read that one as well, Sue? The second one?
No, I can see it now on the screen.
Okay. So yeah,
Uh,
that one is basically the goal is to present and create a formal proposal. Within that proposal, there's twofold. Number one is that new housing developments incorporate a defined set, which we'll do through research, and I've talked to Todd about it, but basically a defined set of universal design features that accommodate a wide variety of disabilities. So that's addressing new developments. And then the second part is uh, is trying to establish a minimum percentage of units designed to be given as priority to people with disabilities, not just those that might be, unable to afford, right? Like the affordable part of affordable housing, but also that we're giving priority to, you know, either priority or dedicating a minimum percentage of new developments, like new construction, to
right.
a minimum units that are.
And this would be for county development only. In other
So
words, not private developers that work in the county.
that's a good question. And it's something that came up, I think, previously in the last report. Basically, there's like there's like rules that require certain things, but in actual practice, there's no like enforcement of it. There's some point about that, but my thought was county, um, all new developments in the county, because all new developments, I believe, have to go through permitting and different processes to be approved by the county. Um,
Yeah,
so
but is
this,
there, but the city of San Diego has a development services where they have a planning department and they do building permits as well. So uh,
right.
I'm struggling with that. But these are good. I'm just trying to see how this fits with what we've been doing. And as always, these are good, but it's like, so what are we going to do with it? Who is going to do what by when? So that the implementation side, the who's going to do that, and what our timelines are for implementation to
Hmm.
roll this out. Um, because this, to me, this first one about affordable and accessible housing that
Yeah.
recognize that in your, as you wrote in here, communications, policies, materials, um, that that has to be presented also to the Board of Supervisors, I'm guessing, because there's different housing departments within the county.
Correct.
And I like all of it. It's just confusing to me and shifts. I thought we'd put it all together and start now. I thought,
What maybe explain, Sue, how were you envisioning?
like when we saw your report, which I thought was excellent,
Mhm.
and we didn't have time to review it, I don't think because you changed it and made it way better. And um, it was so solid that what I felt, and this is only me, one member, that we could take that and run with it now
I
and
see.
start with, strategically, who do we present this to from the top down rather than departments. Nothing wrong with department stuff. They're wonderful. They come in, they present. They're not the ones that are going to change policy.
Right. I agree. I like going to the decision makers as well. I think
Exactly.
now
Exactly.
we do have a time limit on here. It just says it says that by the end of the next committee year, but I mean, I guess that can mean the end of this committee year. But I mean,
We should put fiscal years in there. This
okay.
year thing is just, it should be fiscal year 26, 27, in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
which is what we're in.
Yeah.
Now, do you think if we at least approve that these are our goals, we can then, you know, uh, once I can get together with Michelle at some point, kind of refine that report. Once everybody's reviewed that, then at that point we can all, vote to move that we present that to the Board of Supervisors. Um, but I mean, I guess there is maybe I'm not certain I fully understand in terms of I thought this was more of getting kind of the general goals that we're going for, and then at any point during the year we can, you know, um, take action on that, whatever that might look like. I guess work with the county in the first goal, for example, is somewhat vague, but also gives a little bit of freedom to say, okay, we'll work with the county. Maybe that will look like us making a proposal and asking for the Board of Supervisors to vote to approve that all communications in the county ad accessible. Um, I don't know. I'm kind of curious. I'm new to the committee as well, right? And this is kind of my first action item thing to vote on. So, and I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but um, am I understanding right that this is kind of get a general goals for the
Well,
year? Then we can.
they
Well,
are.
I can sort of give because I've been talking to Brennan. So the goal the first goal of Michelle and Brennan was to come back to the committee with a SMART goal. And then once the committee agreed that the what the SMART goal would be, then we would let's see, what's that? Oh, I was like, wait a second, I see something coming from me. um, that the committee would then agree on the SMART goal and then would be able to decide what are some of the actions that different committee members may say, well, one, we're going to send a letter to the Board of Supervisors. We'll have we'll do a presentation at such and such. And so I think the statement what we're seeing today is to say this is the SMART goal that's being proposed for one, accessibility, affordable and accessible. That's one SMART goal. I think what you all are doing is what was expected is, well, let's, instead of saying next committee year, let's say fiscal year 26, 27, and then vote on the SMART goal being what it is, how it's stated. And then as far as universal design, similar situation would be craft what the SMART goal is, and then the committee will determine what actions and activities to achieve those SMART goals. I do see committee member Luz had a question about how are we defining accessible housing.
Exactly.
And that's a great question. I think, like Todd said, I think the purpose is more to get an overall to kind of find an agreement amongst the committee that this is what we want to work on, and then, you know, as it says in the SMART goal, to work with the county, um, and then what we can work on in subcommittees as well is to kind of define that, right?
And
But
I see Rachel's hand as well. We'll have non-committee. We're going to continue to hear from the committee, but I think Rachel probably has some thoughts or recommendations. So after the committee has discussed, we'll open up for non-committee input as well.
Okay.
Laura here. One thing I'd love to change, since we do talk a lot about language in this committee and language mattering. So just a simple change of accessible and affordable housing, but putting accessible first to put that as an important need that does need to be addressed.
interesting thought. I never even thought of that.
Yeah.
Great, great.
I
And
mean, you can.
what we're really saying here is make it both, county. When you talk about affordable housing, talk about affordable and accessible housing. Because people with disabilities and people that are aging that don't even identify as somebody with a disability are some of the poorest of the poor. And we need both. It's
Mhm.
like the state laws that say, don't use mental retardation anymore. People are not retarded, and they change the language. Well, we're trying to change the language, but it's a huge lump because it's way more than language. It's
Now,
Mhm.
But it's a start,
it
do we
is,
right?
like,
and
do we all,
and I love it. And
is
so
there,
if you want me to make um a motion or somebody to make a motion so we can move forward on this. And then I want to come back to your whole report as well sometime and look at that because I don't want to lose that.
okay.
I
Can
want,
just real quick,
yeah,
is everyone okay? Maybe we can do it this way. Does anybody not approve or agree with putting accessible first? Accessible.
I think it's a great idea.
yeah, here,
Okay. I just sent Todd, Jamie, and Jaime and Katie the modified. Maybe Todd, if you want to bring that version up and then we can vote. It basically fixed the fiscal year as well as um, the switching around the accessible and affordable.
While I'm
And
doing that, I'll
okay,
call on Luz. She had her hand up.
Thank you,
okay.
Todd. My only other clarification here, and I love these goals. I think they're very ambitious and but relevant is when you mentioned work with the county to change the language, I'm assuming that we're also working with the county to determine when materials, websites, all of the communication pieces would be updated by. So it may not necessarily be caught in this fiscal year, but to establish a target deadline as to when everything would be updated by. Is that my understanding?
I would,
Yeah, I think that's a great point.
That makes perfect sense.
yeah,
Trying to change everything that fast is probably not possible. There's a
no,
lot that's going to go. I'm sure as we start to, work with the county, we're going to uncover that this is a pretty massive undertaking.
it is massive.
Yeah.
It's massive.
I sort of see the these two goals um and the report, the longer report, which I really liked, Brennan, um, as sort of going hand in hand.
I agree.
Like that's the report, the longer detailed report, and hopefully Todd we can get or Jaime we can get that sent to Luz and Azucena. Um, that becomes a living document that we flesh out, tweak,
That sounds
add
great.
to, subtract from,
Yeah.
that's our guidance
Well, I
for
think it's,
how we move forward.
yes, I agree. And what I am going to now say is they need to stay together because the universal design is one aspect of how you can put in affordable, accessible, and affordable. That's one way to do it at the beginning, front end, right? And so I think that it's our, I think it's accessible and affordable housing. And then we have this SMART goal. And then we have the accompanying backup information with statistics and all the stuff
Mm-hmm.
that you
Mm-hmm.
did.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's the justification for it, because people always want to know, oh, we got to do that. That costs too much money. We don't know how. We don't have to do that. This money that we get from this source doesn't say we have to do that. Those kind of arguments. And
Yeah.
so I think there's just this constant push that we have to do that has to be united. So by dividing the goals up, it concerns me that we're dividing the same issue up.
Mm.
It's a it's accessible and affordable housing, period.
Can I speak to the reason why we have these two SMART goals, this concise and eloquent statement, is because to get the approval on this, on the what, um, would be the first step. And the how is in that document. But that document is a long document, and it's going to take a long time for everybody to approve, to vote on,
Yeah.
um, and the goal is in this meeting to get some direction that this put a stake in the ground, that this is what the committee wants to work toward over the next fiscal year.
Uh, I'm going to call on myself. What if, because I think what I'm hearing Sue, if I'm hearing Sue's comments correctly, it's really the same thing spread in two different ways, right? One is a formal proposal to the Board of Supervisors since they have a lot of the oomph here. And the other one, the first one, is really culturally changing the language that people use with regards to housing. So I wonder if we could have two goals under accessible and affordable housing. The
Yeah,
one
we have.
is instead of you calling out universal design and making it look like it's two different things, is accessible and affordable housing. One avenue is to change language within the materials, the committee, how this is discussed amongst the county. And then two, preparing a formal proposal for the Board of Supervisors to maybe codify some of this, as opposed to changing language on the website, which may basically be the same thing, but
I think it's, yeah, I mean, I think if I understand you right, Sue, I think it's, you're kind of saying accessible housing is it kind of the universal design is housed under accessible housing. Is that kind of what you're,
Well, that's what I'm thinking. It,
mhm.
it doesn't have to be. It's a build-in that you just do, but it can be recognized certainly as an accessible design feature.
yeah.
And
I,
so I think that we can do both. And I think we don't want to eliminate anything. And I think and I appreciate you, Todd, and your perspective. And with due respect, I'm going to say it's the committee's decision. And I think, typically when you go to introduce something, you would go to someone that would be pivotal, 2 or 3 people that would be, are willing to meet with us, let's put it that way, and hear our issue. So you need a lot of ammunition. If I went to that meeting, I would want to have your report. I would want to have statistics. I would want to have a lot of information to justify why I'm coming to you to propose this.
do you, maybe there's, I'm not certain if I'm understanding, or Sue, are you meaning you want to try and combine these two together, or you want to vote to approve the report with these two goals, or something different? I think,
I don't know where these are in relationship to your um report, and I don't know where these two things are in relationship to the housing goal we already have. In other words, one of our main areas for 2 years has been accessible housing.
okay,
So
that's,
I'm confused. It's a new insert into a process we already have. And I'm saying, how is this going to fit? And how are we going to organize this?
I think that's figured out probably along the lines. I think this is
I
kind
do
of,
too. Yes.
I really like, to be honest, having these two separate goals. I think the separation makes it clear, um, and uh, you know,
Well,
specific.
that's good. And I honor that because you've been studying this. So I will give you that. That's why we have discussions. And I would say then add also, I want fiscal year 26, 27 in there for the universal design one as well. I don't want to wait. I mean, maybe we'll have to. It
No, no, no.
evolves, you know?
And I think the idea here is that this is kind of like, choosing a direction, like I'm gonna start driving west. Like we're choosing a direction. Then along the way, at any point we might, accomplish our goal or, be able to,
Or change it.
even maybe
And
by next month we are ready to submit a report to the supervisors for the universal design and the language change. I think this is more of kind of just saying this is where we're specifying the accessible housing goal a little bit so we can narrow it down to bite size, you know.
got it.
Yeah.
It's
Laura
like,
here. Yeah, I like the two goals, but I wonder if you would have the bandwidth, Brennan, since you're just kind of taking the lead on this, to reach out to the Planning and Development Services Department. So Todd had sent that helpful email on July 25th that they are talking about exactly this issue, basically,
yeah,
but under, affordability. But to Luz's point in the chat too is how are we defining accessibility? We need to make sure we have a really good definition that is in line with what is already being used, and then perhaps building upon that.
yes,
When that report goes out, it was page 2 of your report, Brennan, that talks about how to define
Yeah,
this. But I
yeah,
don't think it actually does define it. I think you talk about what needs to be considered in defining it. But that's, I mean, it's always any policy, I'm going to go to the statute books and look at definitions first, is my first stop on research. But it seems like we really need to right now network into Sue's point to find out who are we supposed to be talking about. But it seems that Planning and Development Services Department might be a good thread to pull at. And I'm sure there's other ideas as well, but to start finding out how we can coordinate with other people, what definitions are out there at the county, what are other counties defining, how is this being defined, is there a recommended definition on accessible and affordable, but specifically what does accessible mean? And
Yeah,
maybe what do those mean, what do those things mean together? I don't know. I have more questions than anything
I
right
like
now.
I
yeah,
think
same.
in the recognition of time, I would ask, is there a desire to make a motion for
Real quick, did
the
Rachel,
smart goal?
Rachel, yeah, let's hear
Ra-
from Rachel.
and then motion, Todd? Yeah, Rachel and then motion.
Did we lose Rachel?
Non-committee public comment now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I just want to give context too into the process. I think a lot of you came back around into what I was going to give suggestions for. So thank you for working it out. But the biggest thing in relation to the SMART goals too, there is probably hundreds of housing related communications policies and materials out there. So one thing about a SMART goal is you always define a numeric measurable value. So, and especially if you want to do this by the end of fiscal year is June 31st. So if you plan on wanting to review all of this, put in there a numerical value. So by the end of fiscal year, work with county to ensure um, update to at least three. I don't know. I don't want to give you guys too much to do because you want to make it relevant enough that gives you enough time, especially if we can get you support and access to this. So that's number one thing. And then with the definitions of accessible and universal or whatever it is that we were trying to get into, don't get too much into that because the board of supervisors are going to skirt past that and just again look at that analytical goal to make sure it's achievable for us and as well as what's in the report. I haven't seen the report. I don't know if Todd has reviewed through it. So that's where they're going to focus majority of their time on top of the SMART goals. So it's just a precursor into everything. And then after all of that, Todd hit on it a little bit too, is that we would share a memo back to the board of what a request is. So what is it that we're asking from them as recommendations and action items from the SMART goals and moving forward? So that's kind of just what I was going to work off. I think Lou's and Sue and Jeanette, you all hit on it when we came back around towards the end of this and what our next action step should be. But really, I just wanted to add that one piece in there is I want to make sure that you guys have that numerical value so you don't find yourselves stuck in this goal that by the end of the fiscal year, come June, you have reviewed hundreds of documents
Well,
and so on and so forth. So
I appreciate that.
Excellent.
I
Thank
think
you.
where I immediately go is not even knowing how to quantify
Yeah,
that exactly. I'm not as familiar with the county, maybe. I wouldn't know whether to specify like uh, the Instagram account or social media accounts or certain maybe county-made publications or um, I kind of like leaving it vague for now and then specifying maybe soon or modifying it once we
To
get in a little bit and find out like what like quantify it a little, say, okay, there's a magazine, there's social media, and there's the websites. Like we want those changed. And then we
yeah,
maybe
to
and then maybe you adjust instead of saying that you want communications because policies alone they have probably I would say maybe around 30 to 50 policies relating to housing just there. And then if you get into the communications on social media aspect and platforms, you have Facebook, you have Instagram, you have LinkedIn. And this is just dedicated to the county social media, but then you break down into housing, health and human services agency, and then you go by department, and then so on and so forth. So it's a
yeah,
trickle effect.
yeah.
yeah.
So you might
To
have to just, oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. To Rachel's point, this is loose. Perhaps that can be amended slightly instead of saying to ensure that housing related communications address, it would read to ensure there is a plan to update communications policies and materials so that if, as we go through and identify, as Rachel mentioned, all of the different types, communication channels, et cetera, that we can get some kind of commitment from those department agencies or leaders as to when they may be able to get their materials updated, however it fits within their department or fiscal cycle. I'm speaking from a perspective of human resources and being the director of diversity, equity, inclusion for a major California hospital. It is a big ask, and I understand the complexity behind it, but I think really what would be a win for us is a commitment from the agencies and departments to ensure that this language will be updated in their next whatever communication cycle, whatever it may be. So perhaps, Brendan, we can approach it that way. It keeps the goal there. It just doesn't tie us to commit to having all of these materials updated by the end of fiscal year.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think you have a lot of experience, I'm sure. I think um I think we could probably go back and forth trying to change language in terms of changing the plan. I kind of like how it's currently written, and then we can always kind of go in and making it the plan and making all of those suggestions be the actual like meat and potatoes of what we're actually implementing. Um, but so I would just I mean me personally, I would say I think ready to approve, at least to make a motion to vote on this, at least as it currently is, also just in the interest of time, and then we can always come back and modify it later, and focus, kind of taking all of the suggestions you both had just mentioned, which are crucial, I think, to making this actually become a reality, and then implementing those. But yeah, I don't know if there's
Does
any other
anybody
comment.
want to make a motion?
All motion. You might need to help me with the Brown Act compliance here, but I motion to approve these two SMART goals as the committee's plan for this fiscal year regarding housing.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it. And then I think we need to open up for a quick discussion before we vote. Is there other? So I'll
Do
second.
we? Okay, great. Do we have any other comments before we vote?
I don't know, do we need to revise the motion to, instead of saying this fiscal year, say fiscal year 26, 27?
Uh, I think, I mean, unless it's a good point, unless it's self-explanatory, maybe that's something, I don't know who's most experienced with Brown Act and all the rules and whatnot, but um,
So there's a friendly amendment that's being requested. Does the motioner of the or does the maker of the motion accept the friendly amendment for 26-27 fiscal year 26-27? And then does the seconder accept that?
Yep.
sure.
Do we
Awesome,
have,
Laura here. So what I'm hearing is that this is our starting point, and obviously as we know more and continue on, we can change this as needed.
Yep.
Yep.
yep. Any other discussion? Let's have a vote. We need to do it individually. Sue,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Brennan,
Yes.
Azucena,
Yes.
Oh, that's
Aisha,
Claudia.
Yes.
Luz,
Yes.
and me. Yes. Okay, great work. Motion passes.
Congratulations.
Yay.
Yay. All right, it's
Are we going
4:30.
to put this on next month's agenda?
We can. Yeah.
That'd be good. We need to do it every month.
Yeah, we need to keep moving.
I think we need to dog this. Thank you.
And so next up is Chrissy Henricks from our Economic Development and Government Affairs area. Chrissy is going to speak on the legislative program that is currently being sought. Public comment is currently being sought and input. So let me bring that up, Chrissy, while you're introducing, and I'll bring it up.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. We met, I think, at the last meeting or the meeting before. It's nice to see all of you again. Thank you for inviting our office. As Todd just mentioned, and for those of you who weren't there at the last meeting, my name's Chrissy Henricks, and I am a legislative policy advisor in the Office of Economic Development and Government Affairs, affectionately called EDGA. And my policy area is government finance and health and human services, hence why we are connected. So today, next slide, please. EDGA is looking for input from the public, from advisory boards, from departments. Todd, can you go to the next? Thank you so much. And it's called our legislative program. So we had one this year for 2026, and now we're formulating the one for 2027. Our legislative program provides guidance and authority for the county's advocacy throughout the entire year, and it has three main components. So this is kind of just to level set for you guys how we use this, this program. So the first component are sponsorship proposals, and these are bill ideas that become county-sponsored legislation. We'll find an author in the state legislature, work with them to see if they will support the bill, and work with them to carry it through, hopefully, to its passage. An example is this year we had, still the other side, thank you. An example this year is we had a bill connected to the Tijuana River Valley that Senator Padilla had carried for, I'm sorry, is he a senator? I always call him just Padilla. He had carried it, so one of the state legislators. The second area are priority issues, and these are the highest priorities in for advocacy in the year. And on the next slide, when we get to that, you'll see what the priority issues were for 2026. And then there's a third component, which are policy guidelines. And these are somewhat evergreen. We do revisit them each year, but what they offer is a policy framework for us to use throughout the year when we're considering potential positions on legislation. So you've got actual bills that the county carries, priority issues that are identified, and then this general framework, these policy guidelines to help us understand how to support or oppose pieces of legislation. So each year we undergo a months-long process to review our legislative program. And like I said, we work with county departments, we work with community members to determine what should be included in the next year's program. And this presentation is really timely because we just kicked off this process 2 weeks ago with public comment opening on August 10th. So yes, thank you. These were the priority issues for 2026. Housing, behavioral health, climate and environment, safe communities, homelessness, safety nets programs, and then the Tijuana River Valley sewage crisis. Next slide, please. Some particular sections in the 2026 program that I'll uplift that might be of interest to this committee. The priority issue of safeguarding the social safety net, healthcare access on page 8. That might be a particular section your group would want to revisit to see if you have any suggestions for, areas that were not universal design. Is that in there? Is that something that you would want to add in some of the section? Maybe not this section, but other sections that y'all were just talking about. And then in the policy guidelines section, under equity and justice on page 13 is another section that speaks about advocating for persons with disabilities. And there's a specific section on page 20 and 21 that I would uplift for your committee members to review. But I'll also point out that at certain times, certain bills create overlap among the priority issues or the guidelines. And so, as you're reviewing, keep that in mind that your input might be valuable there. Back to the example of universal design, that section under housing, right? If you saw a recommendation where you would like to see that inserted, that would be something that you could offer that type of input. Next slide, please. So for this year, the program, like I said, it's a kind of a months-long process. We just kicked it off in August, and it'll run through December 2026. The county's departments are reviewing the 2026 legislative program and providing their input. And public comment is open from August 10th through September 14th. I will send these dates to Todd so he can share with you guys the links and the dates so that you can have them at the ready. The way we're soliciting input is through our Engage page. There's also a web address. And Todd had reached out because one of your committee members had asked, what if you don't have a laptop or it's not easy to be able to share your input that way? So we did create a phone number that I will provide Todd with, but I will drop in the chat here. And someone can call that phone number and leave their input verbally, and then it will be transcribed and sent to us so that we can consider it as we form next year's program. There is also the opportunity for a virtual community forum that will be on August 25th from 5 to 6 p.m. Again, I'll send Todd the link so you can join if you'd like to provide input that way or just listen in to see what other community members are offering. Then, since public comment and the department's deadline, it all closes up on September 14th. EDGA will review that through October and November and create a draft of the 2027 legislative program and share that final draft with the Board of Supervisors for their approval on December 8th of this year. And should they approve it, that would be what would carry us forward through next year and, guide our advocacy efforts at both the state and federal level. So I think the next slide, so with that, it concludes my slides and my presentation, but happy to open it up for questions or comments.
So Chrissy, just so I'm understanding what I think I heard you say.
Sure.
We could present and maybe work with you to comment about the accessible and affordable housing issue, and you would consider that?
I think in this effort, right, that if you felt that as you're reviewing, because you'll get a link through Todd to review the 2026 legislative program, I think it's 30 to 50 pages. And in there, you might, as you're reading through it, you might say to yourself, this group, or you as an individual, Sue, I care about accessible housing and accessibility and affordability. And I see it mentioned in these places, but I see it could be better called out to support individuals with disabilities, or I see it should be added to this section, or maybe this section could be stronger language or less language. So you're kind of reviewing the document and formulating your comment, and then you would submit that comment either on the Engage page, through the email, or by calling that phone number and leaving your input in that space.
Okay.
And then our office would review it and find spaces where we could, take all the comments from everyone and create a new legislative program that's reflective of the input that we got for 2027. So it's in addition to what you guys have planned to do.
Yeah, exactly. So we couldn't give that. We have to go through the public comment. This committee has to go through the public comment like everybody else does.
So there are two options for committees like yours. So as an individual not connected to the
Right.
committee, you can submit your information. If as a group you would like to submit recommendations for the program, you would work with Todd, you would collectively decide what that is before September 14th and work with Todd to get that to Health and Human Services so that they would fold it into their the product they submit to us, right?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Laura here. I love the idea if we can't do it this year, doing that as a committee every year
Yeah.
when you have this legislative agenda going out. It's crucial, and that's one of the things when we talk about support we need. It's us understanding how the federal, state, county, and city is working together. And so I know this has come up a couple times that we wanted to be more engaged on these points so we could be more helpful. Love that.
Yeah, that's and I think this is a great opportunity. Like we really encourage because even I would say too, I've only been in this office for a year and a half. So I've gone through this process once, but even if you don't necessarily see your exact language reflected in the document, we read all of it. And as I'm reading hundreds and hundreds of pieces of legislation, I've flagged what is important, you know, to the community, to the committee, and I'm looking for that. And so sometimes we'll have authority already in there without the specific language to be able to advocate on a priority of the communities, if that's helpful. Yeah. So uplifting in your throughout the year, if you are hearing of a piece of legislation, let's say AB 123, it would impact your community. You really want us to know about it. Todd can share that with us. The committee's, you know, singled this one out. We'd like to know what y'all are doing on it. Can we advocate for it? Those types of things.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Chrissy.
Oh, my pleasure.
Any questions, comments?
I just want to say, Todd, go do it. You know our SMART goals.
Poor Todd. But
Make it
anybody can,
happen.
as a private individual, do it before September 14th, I think it was. So if
It
you have
was
Yes.
time to
September
read
14th. We're not
through,
going
Yeah,
to
I
meet
think Todd,
before then.
I think you've sent this out to us via email too, right?
Yes, and I just sent another email that was the announcement that's to the public and
Yeah.
included that phone number.
I
I
would
will
like us.
also I will also send that to Michelle via a an audible message.
Todd, I would
Excellent.
like you to present, if you could, though, in writing to the Health and Human Services, like Chrissy mentioned, on behalf of the whole committee, our two new SMART goals around housing before September.
I'm glad to send anything that you all would like for me to send. If you will draft what you like me to send it, I will certainly send that.
Who wants to do that?
The secretary isn't on the call today.
I know. Brennan, can you do it?
Do what?
Send the language we want for the two SMART goals that we just voted on to Todd so they can submit it to HHS before September 14th to get in the legislative consideration for 2027.
Yeah, it was just the language.
Yeah, Todd wants a draft for us to send to him to send it out.
Okay, I think the only change was that modified motion of adding 26 to 27. So yeah, Todd, I can email you right now, just adding 26, 27, if that's what you mean.
Yes, anything when you say to send it to HHSA,
So as an example, I'll get like the Behavioral Health Advisory Board They as a group just kind of collectively decided that these were the additions that they wanted to recommend for the 2027 Ledge program. And they have a coordinator named Maria. So they typed it up, sent it to Maria, and Maria sent it to the Behavioral Health Department. So I'm actually not sure. Maybe AIS is the department that you guys are connected to. So it would be Todd, your liaison at AIS, because AIS is going to review the 2026 legislative program and send us all of their input, and they would fold your input into their input as the council, if that's more
Well, actually,
specific and
yeah, if
helpful.
yeah, good point. I think in this particular case, it may be PDS.
Oh, okay.
And then it may be as well Health and Human Services, but from the housing standpoint, it might be
Oh,
Housing and Community
HCDS.
Development. Yes.
That's right. That's right. Okay, yes. Amazing.
Laura here. I would see this, maybe Brennan, if this is helpful, and what does the rest of the committee think, but like a very simple memo, like to, from, date, and it just is like lays out that we hope this is considered as you go through the legislative agenda, that this is our input. Like very, very simple. But one
Yes.
thing we might have messed up, I don't know, but when we did vote that, we said adding the fiscal year that Jessica had added in, but I don't know that we specified switching accessible and affordable. Maybe you did, but
Yeah, I already
yeah.
addressed that and
All
changed that
right.
law.
Yeah. Okay.
I got you.
Would our input be the actual SMART goal, or would it be our uh wanting to have accessible
Mm-hmm.
added to affordable?
It would be that you would want it added. It wouldn't be your specific SMART goal, but I don't have it committed to memory. That might already be in our legislative program, but it might not be like in some space in there. So maybe when you get the link, do a quick search to see where accessible is mentioned, the word, and how is that sufficient for what your goals are? Do you feel that we have the authority to advocate by the language that's there? If you want it to be a little bit stronger, you can recommend, stronger, or maybe you're happy with what's there and you continue in your other path of the SMART goals in the departments.
Maybe Jeanette, it might be better coming from you as the chair.
Okay.
That's
If
cool.
everybody has, if since we have till September 14th, we don't have another meeting before then, but maybe as people are able to go through this legislative program, and I know it sounds like it's lengthy, so it may take a bit of time, that if you know, send me a quick email that says, "Oh, I like where it's here. I like where it's here. Um, I didn't see it at all. It needs to be." Whatever your comments and concerns are, and then I'll kind of gather them up and get them to Todd.
Laura speaking. I just did a quick control F, and the accessible is in there 37 times. I didn't look for affordable yet, but yeah, we can search really easily.
Oh, good.
Jeanette, I am happy to help you with editing, not like the main part.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
and then I don't know if we need to do like a general motion that is like everybody okay with Jeanette taking the lead and submitting on behalf of the committee and get your feedback to her, or can we just do it informally?
I'm good with what we have, but Jeanette, it's your call if you want a motion.
Todd, do we need a motion?
I would like to have a vote on the record that the committee agrees with providing input to the legislative program and what that input is, that it's accessible and affordable wherever affordable is, and then it is universal design wherever accessible housing is. What it more detail is better, because otherwise I have no idea what what the ask is. I mean,
Okay.
to send the SMART goal to 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 leaders in the departments and say the Committee for Persons with Disabilities request you to include this in the legislative program, I'm not certain that that's going to get you
Yeah.
what you're envisioning.
Yeah. I agree.
I would agree. I'm comfortable with Jeanette coordinating this effort on behalf of the committee. And my understanding, to your point, Todd, is we're talking about two different things. We're talking about submitting two opportunities, one for individual public comment and one for collective comment to update the legislative process to ensure that the language specifies in those documents accessible and affordable housing as we've wanting to start this process of getting the language out there. The second one, to your point, Todd, is submitting what our goals are. I think the first one is where we want to really hone in on and just make sure that we are in public comment wherever possible to update language on any communications coming forward, accessible and affordable housing, where affordable housing is mentioned.
Yes.
And I'll offer for I said maybe this at the beginning, but not in so many words. The when we are looking at the program and this concept of like whatever you have the addition to, we use that to, we can't control what state bills are coming our way, right? So out of the 1,400, there might be 5 that are connected to the issue that you're wanting, and we need broad authority to be able to go. So it doesn't have to be super specific. It's just you're thinking, would this give the county the authority they need to advocate for what we feel persons with disabilities needs, if that's helpful. Yeah. And
Yeah,
at the federal level,
It's really us using our expertise and plus a lived experience to just issue spot and say, hey, this is something, it is completely out of our control. It's good to clarify what gets used, what suggestions. I mean, there could be a bill where our piece, it doesn't make it this time. That was, for some reason, politically loaded. If this bill was going to pass, that was going to do so much good. We just couldn't push that factor this time. We can come back to it. So it's always this fight, of course, of how much we can get. But I think it is important to clarify that this is suggestions and wish lists, really.
Right. It is, but it does. I mean, if that bill comes up and we have the authority and we can, oppose it or support that change, this is how it gets done. This is how it gets in there. And, as you all know, advocacy is not a short game. It's the long, very long.
Not a spectator sport.
Okay, in the interest of time, I'm going to make a motion that members of the committee provide me with their input to this legislative program. Perhaps it's just a copy of what you've written as an individual, and I will gather them up. Laura and I can take a look at them, put them into some sort of reasonable format, get them to Todd, and to be sent before September 14th, and ideally would have a chance for the committee at writ large to look at them too, when they're all put together.
I think we don't want a bunch of personal comments because we can all personally comment.
Yes,
okay. So it is accessible and affordable for me.
Yes.
That's it.
Okay, let me rephrase. I move.
There was a motion. Yeah, you made the motion. We're looking for a second.
I second that, Laura here. I second.
Any comment? Okay, Sue?
Yay.
We're voting.
Yes.
Luz?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes, please.
Azucena?
Yes.
Aisha?
Oh, Aisha, are you there?
Jessica?
Yes.
Aisha? We'll put her down as abstain, but motion passes. Okay.
Did you give your vote, Jeanette?
Just for the record. Me too. Yes. Any future agenda items? Since it's 5:01, we can
So we
wrap up.
will have, so next month, I'm working at next month to have PDS come and speak to the inclusionary housing update, and they actually have reviewed the document that you all that the committee has put together, or that Brennan put together and the committee had. So we'll have more on housing, as well as hopefully I'll have more direction on evacuation procedures. And then additionally, we're working on with the Health and Human Services on the um, interactive process for um, accommodation or modification request under the Americans with Disabilities Act. So we have a few things that are on schedule already, but if there are others, let us know.
Is there options for all coming in September?
I have not heard anything about options for all for September.
Jeanette, that's my
Oh, yes, we have
Gary,
that on the agenda.
Gary Seidman,
Yeah.
options for all on his intellectual and developmental disabilities program that he runs, 2-year training program to get employed.
Oh, okay. We did talk in
Yes.
the in that meeting. Yes.
Yes.
So that will be got it.
Yeah.
And then
we have-
one last quick thing, the city of San Diego sent a great letter to their committee on ADA access and compliance. They have a committee like us, sort of, and they sent a great letter about accessible housing and housing goals. And I don't know if you had time to read it. Todd sent it a couple, 2, 3 weeks ago. Excellent.
Hmm.
And I think we should maybe meet with them somewhere along the line. I'd like you to look at that, please, Jeanette, because my gut was call up the chair and have him come over, or privately do a subcommittee meeting with him,
Okay.
Victor, because it's really well done from my perspective.
Okay. Excellent. Thanks. All right. We've lost our quorum, so I'm gonna adjourn the meeting.
We'll leave you eventually.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thanks
Jeanette.
for a great meeting, and really nice to meet you, Luz and Azucena.
Claudia.
She said
She goes by
you go by
Claudia.
Azucena, right?
Yes, I go by Azucena. Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've been
Yeah.
saying Claudia. Okay.
All right. See y'all next
Thank you,
month.
everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Thank you.